I told you that your tendency to dish out unsolicited advice isn't making people feel better, it's actually making them feel worse. Let's get clear on what giving out unsolicited advice looks like, because you might not even realize that you're doing it. Have you ever walked to your car and you see a flyer sitting there that you didn't ask for, but it's there on your windshield, probably stuck because it rained, and now you have to peel it off? Irritating, right? Frustrating, right? Yeah, that's kind of how it feels, except with a lot more emotions involved. Welcome to my channel. This is Poetically J here. This is a community for creators. We're all creators on this journey called life, really trying to figure things out. How we show up in our relationships, how we show up for ourselves, really impacts how we move through this world. So I'm here to help you gain greater control of that and really evolve as an individual, as a creative, just as a spiritual being having this human experience, right? So let's get into it. What is unsolicited advice? Unsolicited advice is advice that you give to someone without a direct request for it. No one blatantly asked you for your opinion. You just decide that it's what the other person needs. Honestly, it's pretty common for most of us to feel like our advice is what people need in the moment that we are having a conversation with someone. They might be opening up to us about a particular experience that they had, and for some reason, our most immediate response is to look for a way that we can solve it for them, because as humans, we are problem solvers. We find something that we don't understand, we seek to understand it. We find something that we don't have an answer to, we seek to solve it, right? So whenever we find ourselves in these conversations, we think that our job in the conversation, when someone is expressing something to us, is to offer them a solution. However, that is not what people are looking for most of the time. Most of the time, people are looking for this. They're looking for you to listen, for you to intake, and for you to really just allow a space for them to express. When we take it upon ourselves to offer a solution, you have to understand that we're moving in really unfamiliar territory. No matter how close you are to this person, whether it's your best friend, a family member, doesn't matter. You will always only have a portion of their story. You'll never know the full story because you aren't in that person's head. So any experience that they're having, you can't fully identify with. So how can you offer a solution to something that you don't have the same experience with? At the end of the day, even if you've experienced a similar situation, it still wasn't in that person's mind, in that person's body, in that person's environment. So it's not the same. And while I know your intentions are probably really good, there are just better ways to handle this situation. So to be clear, this is not an opportunity for me to take jabs at you, because I've definitely been on both sides of this equation. I've been the person receiving unsolicited advice, and I have been the person delivering unsolicited advice. In fact, to be honest, I didn't even realize that I had been a culprit of this practice until a friend brought it to my attention. I don't even think I was conscious of this habit. So essentially, I had a friend that was confiding in me about some relationship problems that she was experiencing at the time, and how I perceived it was best to show up for her in that moment was to offer her relationship advice based on my own past experiences. So I'm gonna give you a piece of advice. The next time you find yourself in a situation where you're talking to someone and you're not really sure how to navigate the conversation, the first thing you really want to consider is this. It's very simple. Was my advice requested? If your advice was not directly requested, the next logical question that you can ask yourself is, have I asked permission? I mean, it's really as simple as that. When you proceed to give advice, it's really like you are walking through a door, right? You don't walk into someone's house without knocking. You don't just walk right into anyone's house. Even if it is a friend, you knock on the door first. So this is your knock. To be clear, when you are rushing in as this savior, this hero to their story, you may be saying one thing, but they may be hearing something completely different. You may be saying, this is how I feel, this is my opinion, this is what I think that you should do, but this is what they may be hearing. I don't think you're good enough to process this on your own. I don't think that you are as equipped as I am to navigate this situation, so I'm here to rescue you. So the next time that you go in for an unwanted delivery of your advice, here are some things that you can ask the other person. Number one, are you looking for me to listen or to contribute? I think it's so important to get clear on this before anything. A lot of the times when I come to a friend to express how I feel, I'm not necessarily looking for them to offer up words. I am looking for an exchange. To be clear, there is still an exchange occurring, even if there are no words being spoken by both parties. There's still an energy exchange. And sometimes you are just looking for the energy that that person provides, that that person emits. You might not need their words specifically, but their presence. Realize that when someone comes to you, they have enough respect, they have enough trust for you, they understand that they can be in a safe, non-judgmental space where they can truly let go of all that they're feeling. And that's a beautiful thing. Number two, do you want me to share my advice or do you want me to save it for another time? Timing is everything. Everything. I'll give you an example. You are having a horrible day. You had a bad day at work. You had an accident. Everything that you could imagine to go wrong went wrong in this day. You get home, you kicked off your shoes, you're happy to be sitting on your couch and just taking a moment to relax and just let the day off of your shoulders, and your doorbell rings. You go to your door, you open it, it's someone asking you for a donation. You're probably less inclined to give the donation at that time, not because you're not a charitable person, but because you just had such a pissy day that it's just not something you can fathom right now or anything you can process at that time. Now, conversely, if you've had an amazing day, crushed all your meetings, got new clients, whatever your business is, you've had a great day, and that same person comes to the door, you're in a happy mood, you're in a great mood, you're in a giving mood. So chances are you're gonna make that donation, right? Same concept. While this person is in the midst of processing how they still feel, it's not always the best time to share what you think is right. You know, many times they don't even understand how they feel yet. That's what they are coming to you for. So you can allow them that space to sort through and kind of process out loud. Number three, how can I best support you right now? I know that we tend to think that we have all the answers, but newsflash, we don't. We don't. We absolutely don't. So we have to ask. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it shows that you care enough to put their feelings on the front burner instead of your own. A lot of the times, to be honest, when we are so forthcoming with sharing unsolicited advice, it's often because we are coming from an egotistic place. We are coming from a place of superiority, and we might not even realize it. So I would invite you to examine your intention behind why you decide to share unsolicited advice. You might be surprised by what you find. There may be absolutely pure intentions behind it, or there could be ill intentions without you even realizing it. Whatever the case, both can still have an adverse reaction on the intended recipient. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up with explaining what this nasty little habit might say about you to other people. Someone that is so eager to give out their advice often comes across as arrogant. They come across like they have all the answers. Honestly, it makes them less approachable. It makes you less approachable because you operate within this veil of perfection, and none of us is perfect. We don't have the answers to it all. So you have to be mindful of how you respond to situations that you're in. Sharing your advice all the time without someone's invitation can also give the impression of an underlying insecurity. We all have insecurities, let's be honest, right? It's just a part of this experience. But when someone that has an insecurity shares their advice in such a forthcoming, like an eager way, sometimes it can be a projection. It can be a projection basically showing that this is some advice that you should probably be taking, but rather than take your own advice, you'd rather pass it off to someone else. It makes you seem wise, it makes you seem all-knowing, which none of us is, but most of all, it gives you a boost to your ego. Because even though you haven't taken the actions that you're suggesting to someone else, the fact that you could come up with a plan and deliver it to someone, you still get a shot to your ego from that. So I invite you to think more about this as you're having conversations, as you're in these experiences with your friends, and just really consider your intention behind what you do and what you say. Let's continue to evolve, improve, and just change the way that we show up in this world. Thanks so much for tuning into this video, guys. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below if you've had an experience. I'd love to know. Tell me about it. I want to know, what was your experience with someone sharing unsolicited advice with you? Or now that you're watching this, can you recall a time when you have shared unsolicited advice with someone else? I want to know. Thanks so much for stopping by. Until next time, guys.